Hi. Welcome back to Two Kims.
One pod.
I'm Peter Kim, and
And I'm Unji Kim.
That's right. And we are your host of this podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. Happy New Year, everyone. And by the way, I read some of you leaving reviews for us. Thank you so much. We love the new reviews. Guys, if you're new listening or if you're an old ass bitch listening and you've just been hanging on, leave us a review. It's the new year. Let's get it started fresh. All right?
Health, wealth, and happiness, bitch. Thank you.
That's it. Unji, we have a lot to discuss today.
I know.
A few things. First of all, we'll go through our breaks and we'll talk about like how we, spend Christmas, New Year's and all that. And then we really have to dive into Joe Coy because this is coming out a little later than everyone else is going to be discussing. So we'll really dive into what that was, how it affected us personally, and how it affects Asian America writ large.
The culture. Yes.
The culture. Okay? The zeitgeist. So let's get into it right now. I saw that you were skiing. Were you skiing?
I was. No, I did not ski. But so this is do you want to have this be our tops and bottoms? Well,
yeah,
both
let's
of
go
our
into tops and
mutual
bottoms.
But our bottom
our
is
mutual bottom is the same thing. Yes, exactly.
Yes. So my top was I took a full 2 weeks off. So I took a break. I was not teaching. I took a break from my freelance writing job. I just took a break because my children were going to be out of school. The nanny was gone. So I was diving deep into family life, which I don't typically, you know what I mean? I'm not spending that much time.
That's not one of your main interests. From what I know of you, that's not in your top 5 interests.
So I was doing that, and then we went skiing. We went to the place.
Where did you go in the Midwest to go skiing?
It's called Cascade.
Okay.
So there's a part of Wisconsin literally called the Highlands, and Scandinavians settled there. Can I tell you? I went to this is a quick side note. I went to a fucking museum that was all about 3D photos. So in the 1870s, there were 3D photos that were possible and were being made. They would have two pieces, a daguerreotypes, and they would lay them on top of each other. It was a process that made 3D printing possible. And 3D photos. So you had to wear the glasses, and then you would be able to see the image in 3 dimensions.
I see. One of those red blue glasses kind of thing.
That's right. And this is in the 1870s. In the 1870s. And this was in this area, specifically in this town, was the way that people commemorated their families. Can you imagine? Most of them are Swedish immigrants in the 1870s, and the way that they experienced family portraits was in 3 dimensions.
What the fuck? How did they not all go crazy and kill themselves?
That's what I mean.
What do you mean? That's devil work.
We all think we're living in the fucking future. That's the thing that we got to remember.
No,
everybody's
we're in the
living
past.
We're in the past. This is crazy. We don't have 3-dimensional photos now, and it's all these grim-looking Swedish immigrants, but in 3
popping
dimensions.
out at you.
Yes.
Ugh, no, that's freaky. That's an A24 horror film.
And it was 2 Swedish immigrants that cousins that did this for the entire town. Both of them never married, no children. Gay. So
those gays, they were coming out with some fucking crazy, freaky boo-boo shit back in the 19th century.
Is that crazy?
That's crazy. I can't even imagine what they look like.
I'm going to send you the photos. It was blowing my mind. And so, it's a part of the Wisconsin that is the Highlands, and it's very mountainous and has a lot of snow. And it's man-made mountain, but man-made snow there. But
oh, okay.
My daughter was in a fit, breaking down to one nap. I literally was in the hotel watching my daughter sleep most of the vacation. My husband and my son came back ruddy, cherry red from the winter snow, just full of life, having done athletic exercise all day,
adrenaline pumping. Yeah.
Like truly the best time. I was like
bored.
My daughter and I my daughter did learn how to walk because we were going nowhere except
Yay!
for this hotel. Yes, yeah.
That's awesome. That's huge.
But it was just this fucking hotel room. It was so sad. I ate from the same hotel, like from the same restaurant that delivered to this hotel every day.
Ugh. Oh my God. It was you ran through the menu.
That's what I mean. It was kind of like being on the road. You know what I mean? Like you're just mostly in the hotel. You go out for one thing. You come back.
That
and you
sucks
order
because being on the road, the best thing about being on the road is not being with your family. So now you're like on the road with your family. Ugh, eating shitty food.
That's what I mean. It was
at least you weren't bombing. Imagine bombing with your family. Oh, God. Kill me.
Oh my God. You think that's happened to me. I did a room in Kenosha. Max drove me up and I just bombed in this conference hotel.
Okay. Hold on to how bad that night felt because nothing will compare to what happened with Joe Coy. Now, what were some other highlights of your trip?
You know what? This 3D museum was sort of it.
That was it. Okay. And your daughter walking. That's pretty cool. That's momentous.
True.
That's
I mean,
momentous.
spending time, like all jokes aside, spending time with the family was really good. And it was like,
2 weeks
it was wonderful.
Unplugged.
Yes.
That's really
yes.
nice. What
it was
a luxury.
Really nice.
That's really
So now
nice.
you go off about your
I'm going to go
lifestyle.
off about my trip because I went to Baja California, Mexico, okay, which is it's basically the part of Mexico that's attached to California.
Yes.
And you know that phrase, like, we didn't cross the border crossed us?
That's a phrase?
Oh, you don't know that phrase? That's like a Mexican phrase of like very Cesar Chavez-y, like.
I see.
It's like, this was our land. This was us, and then you decided to move the border down, and now we're illegal.
It's literally called Brownsville, Texas.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Okay. So, and they're not talking about the color of the horses. Now we are, although they are servants of labor. Now we went down to Baja, Mexico, and it was that phrase of the border crossed us. It could not be more apparent than Baja because it looks like Southern California. It's just Southern California. All the architecture, the roads, the way it hits the ocean, like. Pretty much all of Southern California has not been touched since we stole it from Mexico. And you see that in the way everything is laid out. It's like the same exact signs, the same roads. Like it's all in Spanish. Like it is California. And as much as people love Southern California for like the weather, the fresh foods, the seasonal eating and all that, imagine that multiplied by 100 because it's Mexico. So it's cheaper, it's fresher, it's more culturally specific. Right. There's even this area
There's no dilution.
Not yet. Okay.
Straight from the tap. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only thing you could drink because the water is not drinkable. We had to drink all bottled water. As you know, when you go to any type of developing nation, the tap water is not really lit like that. So it was just beautiful to get this, like, we got a house on the beach for like nothing.
Ridiculous.
Nothing, like so cheap. Like truly, we stayed for 7 nights and we each spent $1,600 on total. Like lodging, food, groceries, horseback riding, wine country.
Wait, you rode a horse?
Did we ride a horse? We not only rode a horse, we did not have helmets, and the horses went up slippery rocks up a mountain. And this bitch was like, sign your life away here, LOL, haha, laughing. And we're all like, laughing. And truly, we were riding horses like, we had no business being on these horses. We were galloping up and down a mountain. Galloping. This isn't one of these like beach horse rides that's like, ooh, in the sunset and a white girl with a
You want Fabio on shirtless.
Honey,
yeah.
No. We were truly like, I felt like I was in like Game of Thrones. Like, how do these actors ride these horses in these like medieval movies or night movies or war movies or whatever the fuck? Like, I don't understand how people ride horses like that because I felt like I was in constant danger the entire time, and it's Mexico. So rules are soft. in Mexico.
They're free. They're really free there. Yeah.
It's a like libertarian's dream.
That's what I mean. No, don't tread on me, baby.
There's like the highways, like the
There's
lanes
no seatbelts
just
on this horse.
disappear.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Not a lot of regulations. So like it's very like at your own risk, bitch kind of thing.
Sure.
And
you make your own decisions. You're your own man. Yeah. And you decided to horse around. You decided to horse around.
And I had the long face. Okay? And it was worrying, Anji. Like, you know,
I can't believe you horsed.
I've been horseback riding before. I'm not an idiot.
You've horsed before?
I've horsed a lot. Not a lot, twice. Yeah.
Was
Cat
this
skills,
including
baby.
this time?
No, this was the third. I've horsed around. But on
You're
a trail.
Equestrian. You're an equestrian.
Cosmopolitan, honey.
Okay. Town and country.
Yes. Beast of burden. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I love a horseback ride. It's it's just like slow kind of trail around the park type of situation.
Sure.
That was not.
You know, the only time I've ever tried to go horseback riding, the lady looked at me, tried to put me on the saddle, and they were like, "You need to go on a pony
because your legs are too short." Okay, so I needed a pony. Or like a mini horse or something smaller because
genuine, yeah.
Yeah, I was on a full ass mare that was pregnant, so she was blown out, and my short daddy, like truly, like Korean short daddy, like
yes.
My tiny short legs, like bing, out on the horse's sides. Not
they were
even
making this pregnant horse work.
She was one of the only ones willing to work that day. Okay,
Working
everyone
mothers,
else,
no rest.
You know what I mean? Our heroes. No maternity leave for this mare. I mean, they didn't even know she was pregnant. We were going up the hill, and my horse was like really breathing heavily, and I was like, "Is this normal?" And I never seen a horse sweat or any animal sweat before. This horse was drenched in sweat. And the lady who was taking us up the
so you've never interrogated an animal? So you've never seen them sweat? Okay.
No, they happen to all be innocent. But this horse was sweating, honey. Like she was drenched. Her mane, you could see like the drips of sweat. And I was like, I feel bad for this animal, like carrying my fat ass around this fucking mountain.
It's kind of like it's like you on stage or eating soup.
Eating soup, yeah, exactly. Or anything of any temperature. So I felt its pain. I was like, I wouldn't want to be going up these mountains either.
Like horse, like rider, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was really connecting with my horse, and she did end up being actually better than the rest because she was, of course, the mom, and everybody else was her children. So she was kind of leading everyone. So like that was really cool to see how like horses, like the family lines up behind her and stuff like that. And
right.
So
yeah.
Anyway, it was a wild experience. My horse like almost bucked me off twice. It was scary. Like, do you remember that Family Matters episode where Michelle gets bucked off the horse and she goes into like, she doesn't remember anyone, insomnia or whatever? I flashed back to that. I was like, oh my God, Michelle wasn't wearing a helmet. Like, I need to be wearing a helmet. What's wrong with me? What the fuck? And I'm usually the one who's like, let's skirt all the rules and be dangerous, whatever. Yeah. But I was truly like Boy Scout on this thing. Like, where are the handles? Like, I was scared. I was really scared, but we did it, and it was a 3-hour journey. She added an extra hour for us because she liked us. And one of those moments where you're like, the thing is so dangerous that like, thank you for adding an hour because that's like, we're getting more value. But like, that's another hour where I could get bucked off this thing and die. So
literally looking the gift horse in the mouth.
Honey, I was like, how old is this? Where are the teeth going? So like, I was really scared, but I was proud of myself for not like quitting and being like, I'm getting off this thing. Sure. So that was scary and exhilarating. But
can I just say that both of us with our vacations are like slipping deeper and deeper into white culture.
White woman, I know, yeah.
Skiing, horseback riding,
yes.
And they're both like shit that like you could die from. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? It's like
it's white lady nonsense. It's how Ashlyn dies.
Truly, the way
it's
that
how
white
Caitlyn
people
gets away maimed.
Absolutely, the way that white people are obsessed with dying, spending money.
It's because your life is too good. Our life's gotten too good, and now we're testing God.
In 2024, let's pledge to live worse lives. Stay safe. Crazy. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Anyway, so I'm living my white woman fantasy in Baja California, and now we're
Nancy
like
Myers,
obsessed with this peninsula. And not only, I mean, I'm not drinking, but we go to wine country, and I'm literally vibing. Like, I'm not drinking. I'm just like at the vineyards taking pictures, soaking in the sun, drinking a Topo Chico.
Yes.
Like walking my dog around. I'm just like, who the fuck am I? And I've been to, when I was better off financially, I would go to Napa and Sonoma to vacation, but now I don't. But now I could just go down to Baja. It's the same fucking thing. Blink and you're in Napa.
There's wine country down there as well.
Honey, it is gorgeous. When I tell you, I'm not going to say prettier than Napa, but way cheaper.
And that looks good to me.
Pretty.
That looks
just
good
as
to me.
pretty. Exactly.
That looks good to me.
Blink and you're in Sonoma.
It's a brunette with glasses. Take it off. It's the same brunette.
Hello?
She's
she's
glasses.
going to prom. Yes.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. And the movie was about her.
Okay.
So
Ensenada, she is all that. And I loved it. The seafood was incredible. Cheap langoustines, lobsters, it was just absolutely stupendous. We did get trapped twice in a tourist trap. One time it was inevitable. 7 nights you're gonna get one tourist trap day. We did get served some nasty ass ammonia smelling fish, and we literally were like, "Ill, this is old fish. You need to take this back." And they just looked at us and they went, "Okay." And they were like, "And what? And do you want a different fish?" And we're like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, well, here, it's 35 pesos." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we just paid it and left, and we went to another place for souvenirs, and he was clearly gouging me. Yeah. But like, I just like, I don't know. I couldn't, how I am when I travel. Like, I like to bargain. I like to haggle. I like to push, pull. I love that. But in this tourist trappy Ensenada place, like, I felt out of my league. Like, they were pushing so hard and trying to gouge me. These salespeople, they were on another level. You know what I mean?
Ooh, you were in the NBA, baby. You've been playing European ball for many years.
Exactly. I was like,
dealing with like white
I've
people.
been to Paris. Exactly. I was like, I've been to Italy. Whatever. I could do this. I've been to whatever. And then I go to Baja, California, Mexico, and I met my match. They were gouging me.
You got dunked on. Yes.
Not even dunked on. They stepped on my penis and said, "Go warm the bench." Like, it was absolute humiliation. Like, I pride myself in being a good haggler, but I got tooketh. Ooh. It was bad. And it was almost like, wow, I need to come back better. You know those moments where you're like, the defeat is so bad? Yes, exactly.
You're
it's
inspired.
like, yes. This is my origin story. So
absolutely.
Yes,
most of my life is this. Yeah. I'm defeated so bad. I'm inspired by my own failure. I'm like, I gotta do better.
So it's definitely a top with a couple of bottoms, but overall, really happy. Relaxed a lot. It was one of those vacations where, like, I don't know if I've ever had a vacation like this, honestly, where A, you're not with family, so already a great, start. And B, it was so lengthy that we never felt rushed. Like, there were entire days where we were like, should we just read? Like that.
Wow.
It was never had that ever.
You read a book?
Yeah. I was reading. Another day I was writing. Honey. Yes. And being in a new country, because unless you're like VPNing in, you can't watch your regular programs.
Right.
So now you're without Bravo, Trash, whatever, and it's hard to watch stuff. So now I'm like, okay, I'm just looking at a beach outside my window. Should I read a novel? Yeah.
You read fiction?
I read fiction. Can you believe? A fake world, fake characters, fake stories.
Oh, the way that I ache for this. Like, truly, my vacation was your bottom. Like, what the fuck?
You had no time. You were stretched. You didn't have any fun.
I I watched A Few Good Men twice because it was on TV, the hotel TV. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like the TNT.
Good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But again, like you got to read fiction, relax, like.
Cook. It was really nice. So that was a top. I love Mexico. I've never been to Mexico in my life. And let me say, probably the best food I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah,
and
I've never been to Mexico either, but yeah.
Right? And a lot of like chefs talk about that, like Mexico, there's so many regions and so many like such great food and seafood and blah, blah. And you, as Americans, we think of Mexican food as what Mexican immigrants bring. You know what I mean? So you're like at a taqueria, burrito place or whatever.
Sure.
That's what you think about as Mexican food, right? But
sure, the same way that Americans think about Chinese food. It's like American Chinese food, but
it's American Chinese.
And then there's like all these different
sliver
parts of China. Yes.
Right. It's like Guangzhou and Sichuan and all this.
Yes.
So it's very similar to that. And my eyes were really open to that. Like, oh, yeah, of course, Mexico's a giant country. Right. And it's not just like fucking carnitas tacos or whatever the fuck, But of course there was carnitas and it was the most delicious carnitas I've ever had.
For sure.
For $1.25. Like it was fucking nuts. It was out of control.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I love that just sounds so perfect. Like I'm so jealous.
Yeah. We need to go. We need to go one day. Like on we'll do like a combined family vacay or something when the kids are a little older. That'll be fun.
Can we get hopefully we're making enough money where I can have a nanny join us so I don't have to do all of the work.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah. All right. So those are our tops. Should we get to our combined bottom? Are we ready for this?
Brother.
Okay, let's go chronologically because there's a lot to cover. Okay.
So we're talking about the Jo Koy hosting
Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes.
Monologue.
And I mean, it was, how about this? When it was announced initially, I was like, oh, interesting choice.
Okay, that's what I said too. I was like, I don't know if this feels right.
And it's a kind of out of his lane. He has
100?
never hosted a thing. He does not hold the center of a screen, I don't think.
He has millions of followers. First of all, let's just say he has millions. He has 2.2 million followers on Instagram. He is a huge comic. I'm not. No one could take away from that.
No,
he sells out arenas. Okay,
arenas. I mean, this bitch
he has
does
4
the
Netflix specials.
He does the Hollywood Bowl, the Aloha or the Hawaii Bowl in Hawaii like multiple times a year. Like he is undisputedly
on tour the entire time.
International sensation, a millionaire many times over.
Many times over.
He is a successful, rich. He is a successful stand-up comedian. Absolutely. 100. Very, very popular. Huge. Outside of the following.
Let me ask you this, though. Before the monologue, how much of Jo Koy's content have you ingested?
I've watched all of his specials.
You've watched all of them?
Yeah. I mean, I'm also, I'm a stand-up, I'm a comedy
connoisseur
fan. Right.
Yeah.
So like I'm watching, I've watched
so
a lot.
You've seen his style,
Felipe
right?
Esparza. Yes. I've watched Felipe Esparza.
Deep cut. Yeah.
I'm just saying I've watched all specials. Like if it's on available Prime, like whatever, I've watched them all. Right. So how familiar am I with his style and his comedy? Very.
Very familiar. Okay. So that brings me to, if you know his style, you know that that's not a hosting style.
Absolutely not.
That's not a setup punch style.
No.
Right?
He's vibing.
He's loose. His stuff is longer formy, story driven, family anecdotes, accents, etc. Right?
He's confronting
it might be
the
considered.
Audience. It's like it's very in the house. It's very
in the moment.
In the moment. It's also like our culture sharing, like that sort of is the energy, right? Like if you are a Filipino person living abroad or anywhere, like you go to a Jo Koy show. You yes.
By the way, Filipino Americans, the largest by far population of Asian Americans.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
So he has a huge following. And people love him, which is why. Oh, and let me just put this anecdote in before. One of his specials, Steven Spielberg loves so much that he called Joe Coy and said, let's have a sit down. I'd love to produce a movie. What do you got? And he had this idea for Easter Sunday. And Steven was like,
Sure.
Perfect. I'll produce it. So they got Easter Sunday made. And it did whatever it did in the box office. I don't think that well. Okay?
Did it?
No one's,
it went to
no
the
one
box
I know.
office?
It did. I think it opened and then it closed a day later. But it
Because that had
sure.
the energy of that had a VOD energy to me.
Yes. It very much was like I'm stuck in another country and this is the only thing on.
Yes.
So
that's airplane. That's an airplane.
Yeah, if you want that on air. You know, I am actually more picky on an airplane because I'm stuck in this tin can. So I'm like, it better be fucking good. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I can't be stuck like this and watch a bad movie. Almost.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so it is very that. It's kind of like you're not really thinking of the movie until you're like, okay, I've run out of things to watch.
Yes.
So it didn't do that well, but I do believe that Steven Spielberg has enough clout still in the industry to help usher in a new host for the Golden Globes. Maybe not the Oscars or the Emmys, but the Golden Globes.
So you think that it was this clout that pushed him into this lane?
Into the Golden Globes lane. Correct.
Steven,
Correct.
You did
Now,
this is not being an ally.
Steven, you set this guy up.
Yes.
Mr. Spielberg, you set this guy up. Now, let me backtrack and say that if someone like Steven Spielberg is pushing me to host the Golden Globes, fully knowing I know the Golden Globes is a shit show, is not a great gig, it doesn't pay well, it's all exposure, and everyone's drunk and talking through your entire monologue.
I mean, it's like doing a corporate gig, right? Like where you
100%,
do something where
but
like
less
all the
money.
people are yes, less money
With
than a
less
corporate
money.
gig.
Way less money. I hear it's like chump change. It's like one of those things in Hollywood where it's like you'll get exposed kind of thing.
5
So,
years, you think?
I'm thinking 5 for Joe. Maybe
Sure.
for Ricky it was 6. Low
Yeah.
6, like 101,000 or something, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm thinking for Joe it was like 22K.
Shut up! It wasn't 22K.
I don't know. That's what I'm just guessing.
This guy
because I
makes
hear
$1 million for a weekend. Like, there's no way that he took this gig for 22K.
Yeah, but 9.4 million people aren't watching at the same time. That's what the money is. Anyway.
So the idea is that this like kind of launches him into
the next stratosphere of like Billy Crystal, okay? The Whoopi
Sure.
Goldbergs, the icons that, you know, we don't like her, but Ellen's, okay?
Sure.
The Jimmy Kimmels. Like,
But,
this
I
is
mean,
what
let
we're
me-
talking about, right?
But
These
Peter,
like
how
upper
many
echelon, Tina
people-
Fey.
Sure, but how many people do you know that hosted the Golden Globes and then were launched? It's usually established icons that do the show. It's never like they get launched, and we saw why.
That is true. But that's what I'm saying is they
Yeah.
wanted a nobody to launch him into the stratosphere. And
Who's
So,
booking
and-
this room?
and who's booking this room didn't have a host till 10 days before the show?
Crazy.
Who do you think they were working on and they lost?
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Usually the Golden Globes or any type of these type of things is months in advance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because then you get to have a whole room help you with the jokes, and then you do all your premiere like promo shots and like you holding the Golden Globes and be like, tune in, you know, like whatever thing you do for the promo stuff. Like you got to do all that for months and months leading up to the show. So who got fired? Who was it supposed to be? Who walked away? Now, last year, if you remember, it was Gerard Carmichael.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most, in my opinion, appalling performances I had ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I thought when Joe Coy got announced, I was like, no way it's going to be worse than last year. There's no way.
They are doing this. This is their move now. They want to do like
POCs.
have like someone and then launch them. The idea is that like this will provide, but whoever is booking this room is doing a disservice and is not an ally.
I think it's also because like the Golden Globes need someone like a Ricky Gervais who's an insider
Absolutely.
that goes, hey, look at you fucks, look at us fucks.
Yes.
We're stupid, we're privileged, we're shitty, blah blah blah, right?
And
Joe
needs to be high
Coy-
status. It needs to be high status enough to be able to make these jokes that the people do not feel uncomfortable. They're being
100%.
joked on and roasted by a peer, not
Boom.
by this person.
A stranger.
A stranger. I don't know if I don't fucking know you.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
It's like Chicago. Let's say, Chicago comedy scene is like a clique, right?
Sure.
So like, imagine there was like a Chicago comedy scene award show, like whatever, right? Like an improv award show, whatever the fuck. And then someone from Groundlings LA was hired to host and be like, Eunji Kim fucking didn't make a 5B team, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you would be so pissed. I would be pissed for you. But if it was someone within the scene, it's an act of love. It's an act of care. Like, I see you. We're digging each other. You're digging me. I'm digging you. It's all safe and protected.
Absolutely.
But someone from the outside coming in, hired, that has no valence and no connection to us emotionally, poking fun at us, we're not going to be that comfortable laughing. Which you felt in that room last year with Gerard, and more this year with Joe.
I mean, I will say, so this is the reason why it drives me crazy when people making decisions inside of show business don't feel like, do you do show business? Do you know about? I mean, like, what we're describing here is not like a sophisticated or particularly erudite take. It is something that anybody.
It's basic.
Basic. This is arithmetic, bitch. This is like the multiplication. You just know this. We're not doing calculus, not even AB, not to mention BC. Like, this is regular, basic information. So it makes me crazy when whoever's booking this room doesn't know that.
It's. Let me tell you, it's Dick Clark Productions. Okay, so you already know it's like, what?
Dick's dead, so it's clear.
Honey, yeah, move it on. Secondly, it's the Golden Globes has been something that celebrities don't want to touch. Comics. Yeah. Because it's infamously a horrible room. It's notorious for being shitty, right? So comics don't want to do it, right? And then they had that race thing a few years back of like, oh, HFPA has no black people on it. It's all old white people. And they were like, oh, sorry. And then they hired Gerard as a PR stunt, right? Did not go well. And then this year with strikes and everything, they decided to go with Joe Coy because they were like, we need someone who's going to be anti-Gerard. Because Gerard is very like cat, acerbic, dark, take the piss out. Yeah. Joe is not that kind of comic. He is very up, fun, friendly, inclusive, party time. Yeah. So that's why they hired him. They even put out an article saying, we're hiring Joe Coy because we want the Globes to be about positivity again, about celebration again. So these were all the articles that are going out about Joe, why they hired Joe Coy. Okay. Not only is he uber popular and he is a great comic, he is also very positive. That's the brand we want to attach to. And then he started his monologue. First of all, we got to talk about the teeth. What in the fucking hell are these teeth?
Okay,
I couldn't hear anything.
Who is doing the veneers in Hollywood? They need to. They must be stopped. They must be stopped. I like. We need to do like as a culture. We do need to get together and stop this madman. Like it is.
Veneers is the new BBL. We need to cut it out.
It's truly like think about it. Like think about period pieces where people are supposed to be like in 18th century, like England, and everyone's got these chicken ass teeth. Like it's we're losing ourselves in this. Let's bring back teeth. Like 2024 is the era of teeth, normal, regular ass teeth. Like show your teeth, Peter. Yes.
I'm sorry, that's really yellow and disgusting. But yeah, something like this. Let's all. Take a page from the Brits for a year. For a year, can we just have normal dank teeth without the perfect super white giant teeth that clearly it's new for him. He probably got it for the Golden Globes, maybe, right? Because I don't remember him having it with Chelsea.
I scroll back.
Did he have it with Chelsea Handler?
Yes.
He did.
And I've seen these teeth because
then you should be used to talking with these teeth by now.
His teeth are his mouth is too tight.
It's like me. It's if I got veneer. Come to stage right now. Please welcome. I said, okay, I know you don't have a fucking Filipino accent or like an Asian immigrant accent, but it's starting to sound like you're doing one because you're lisping and you're pronouncing things incorrectly.
These teeth need to, I mean, his tight little mouth, it's just so, it looks like painful. Like it looks like he's like, you know what I mean? Like uncomfortable. I mean, there's a reason why Gaga and Barbra Streisand have never gotten a nose job, because it might affect their instrument.
Hello.
Bitch, you talk for a living. And you're going to
That's all you do. And that's what you're going to fuck with? Your instrument? That's like a cellist being like, I don't know, string it whatever the way you want. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's your bread and butter.
I mean, I will say, like, the best veneers, Larry David has really big veneers, like big teeth. Like, and for him, I can see that. But he got good ones, and it actually made him a better laugher. Now you see him, he likes to laugh. He opens his mouth, like all that stuff. So, like, yes, what a gift. Joe Coy. Again, he is surrounded by people that are who are plotting his demise, because this dentist,
he's got to be. He's got to be.
This dentist is his enemy. This dentist was his enemy, and he didn't know. He fucked his guy's wife. Something happened. He is his enemy.
Those veneers is an Asian hate crime. Okay. Now. He opens his mouth and you see the giant teeth open up and you're like, fuck, you're already in trouble. And
like,
then he starts.
His teeth are so big, his mouth is so small. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Okay. And he's in a ballroom, first of all, which is a really bad place to do comedy. We've all done ballroom comedies. It sucks, right?
We've all done already a gala or two. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the worst. So you're standing there and you have to be the master of ceremony. So you're like getting the show up, started, buoyant, and then go. Right? So he does a couple of like jokes that are kind of like meh at best, right? People are starting to be like, huh? What? And then he does that Barbie joke.
Sure.
Now, if you haven't seen it, it's a joke about how Barbie is a movie about a doll with big boobies.
Big tits,
he says.
Yeah. Big boobies,
he says, with big boobies, they cut to Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig's like,
Yeah.
And then he says, well, and then he does this thing about like, oh, it's so weird to be attracted to a plastic doll. I think it's about Ryan's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the joke that he's talking about Ryan. Ryan Gosling looks at him like, okay.
Sure.
Like, they're all looking at him like, move on. Let's go.
Because
the jokes are not hitting.
It's the lowest hanging booby fruit available. The lowest hanging booby fruit. And it's not even in a fun way. Like if it was like low hanging fruit that you're like batting at and kind of winking at like, oh no, this is kind of stupid. And also, to be fair, Peter, I would say that up until that point, honestly,
it wasn't terrible.
It was, I mean, it's like, it
was corny.
It's awards show fair.
Banter.
You never crush. It's a huge room. Everyone's drinking wine. They're fucking eating. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not, people are gabbing. Like, I would say that it was on par. Like, that's the level of that shit.
He was doing better than Gerard.
Absolutely.
Let me say. And I was very happy. I was like, okay, Asian representation. He did his mom thing at the top. Joseph, you doing whatever? Like, whatever. He did a Filipino mom joke right up the top. And honestly, that's his brand. So I was like, good.
Yeah,
get it off the top. We're going. He's showing us that he's a child of immigrants and he's lucky and happy to be here.
Yes.
Great. What an amazing setup for an award show. And then he tries to be too acerbic. Like he goes off brand.
Absolutely.
And he starts to make fun of these people there. He does, and then he does another Barbie joke about how, or dick joke about how Barry Keoghan's dick was so big.
Yes.
That it got lost. They couldn't find it in Barbie because I guess Barbies don't have genitals.
Yes.
But it ended up on Maestro Bradley Cooper's nose.
Face. Yeah.
First of all, the construction of the joke is so convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you have to go explain something for the joke to hit, it's too many things. Like,
sure.
You're trying it's trying way too hard to get there. And then after that Barbie joke doesn't hit, he starts freaking out.
This is where the wheels come off.
This is when he lost America, the Philippines, and Earth writ large.
Filipinos did stop claiming him. It was wild to see. Surely no one has any loyalty. You're just
no one.
We're just
I saw the greatest tweet where they were like, man, all those fire ass Filipino TikTok what is it? Karaoke TikToks where like random Filipinos are singing like stars have all been washed out because of Joe Coy's performance.
It's just fucking wild. The internet is
So tell them what happens for the people who didn't watch. So what are you watching?
So I'm watching a comic who's realizing they're bombing.
Yes.
And
in front of probably the people that he wants to impress the most.
For sure.
People like Robert De Niro.
Sure.
Steven Spielberg was in the front row. His ally / sponsor. Okay?
I mean,
Meryl
it's just
Streep.
It's just not. The thing is, like, Joe Coy is also not a comic that doesn't give a fuck. With Gerard, he didn't give a fuck, right? And it truly, like, it didn't matter. He's burning bridges. Fuck you. You're not even the people I'm trying to impress. Right. But with Joe, this is, like, he wants to please. He wants to be a part of this world, and he wants to be sitting at one of those tables one day.
Also, isn't it so weird that he never talked about beef?
He did talk about beef.
He did? What was the joke?
There was no joke. He was just like, I loved it. That's the only thing I had watched of all of the stuff before I got this gig. And then I watched everything. But the only thing before that, I had only watched beef. There was no joke. He was just like, Asian.
Give us a joke.
No jokes.
Give us a
joke.
It's the only Asian thing, and you're not going to give us a joke? You're just going to tell him you loved it?
And then, okay,
anyway,
so this is the thing. He snaps into, he's realizing he's bombing. And he reacts in the way that as a comic, when you start commenting on the bomb, one, things going bad. Two, horrible. This is the thing though, and if you hit it and you comment on it and it doesn't go over, bitch, you're going down in flames. You're done. The ship is sinking. There is no pail of water that you can bail. You're done. DOA.
Your Boeing 737, the windows are being blown out, okay? You're
the phone. Yeah. You're done. Because the thing is, like, that's when you pull that ripcord and comment on the bomb, bitch, that is you, and it doesn't go?
Okay, why do you think it didn't go? Because sometimes when you call it out, it does well.
It hits. But
helps. Why didn't this hit?
The desperation.
And the
defensiveness of it. The defensiveness.
100%. It wasn't calling it out in a way where, fuck, I'm stupid, I'm bad. Yeah. It was calling it out like, this isn't my fault.
Oh, this isn't my fault that I got this gig 10 days ago. And then calling out the fact that the things that you guys were laughing at are things I wrote.
He not only said he got the gig 10 days ago, how dare you expect a perfect monologue, which no one does, okay? They expect a funny one, not perfect, okay? And, no one's accusing you of being imperfect.
And also maybe even if it's bad or mediocre, having a good thing and being like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like being happy-go-lucky. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Happy-go-lucky and just being like, oh boy, like,
even like a little thing of like, if you're going to throw your writers under the bus, which he did, do it in a funny way where it's like, oh, that joke didn't work. Got to fire that writer. Something like that where it's like, you're on top. You're ahead of us. We're okay. You're okay. What he showed us during that monologue was, I am not okay. I am not okay.
He was literally showing us that the boat was sinking, and it made us all upset. We were all upset. It made us defensive.
It was so hard.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, I have to. Wait a second. What are you looking for? Car keys. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I gotta. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm back. I had to give the car keys to my husband.
She's always working. A mother's job is never done. Yeah, so he got defensive about his writer's room, which he posted a picture about, by the way. And you sent it to me.
I sent it to you.
Mostly older white men.
Yes.
2 or 3 women. I didn't see
that were also not young. Were not young.
Yeah, not a lot of Asians. So I was just like, who are these people? So if it was like people who were like known comedy writers, then I would understand posting that. But like, you posted a bunch of nobodies. He didn't he didn't tag anyone. No. He was like, let's fucking go. We're ready to go. And then he literally said, I wrote some of these jokes.
And they're the ones you're laughing at.
They're the ones you're laughing at. Do you know how I can tell that's not true? Because you just said that.
It was such petulant. I was telling you this off mic, but it's such petulant open micer behavior.
100% open micer, amateur behavior. This is the thing that hurt me the most, is that bombing is bombing is bombing. Who cares? People bomb. That's fine. You're allowed to bomb, by the way.
It happens.
It happens. You're allowed to not fucking be great. Okay. But be a pro.
Be a pro. Be professional. At the very least. Like you. Okay, in Kenosha,
fucking
when I was
stick the landing, bitch.
Okay, so when I was bombing in Kenosha, circle tables, Wisconsinites wearing Carhartt, hating me.
Yeah.
I did my time. I finished it. I was like, I did my 25 minutes. I really tried. I didn't call out the bomb.
Which is more than double the amount he had to do.
I did my time. I thanked everyone. My name is Eunji Kim. Thank you. You get off. I didn't yell at these.
And you lick your fucking wounds in private like a pro.
Thank you. I didn't yell at these Wisconsinites for not understanding my racial humor, for my not understanding my charisma, like my God-given. Like, I mean, it was just because the thing is, this was the crowd. This is the thing, though, Peter. This is what I'm saying. Where like he lost himself. He went into panic mode. He was unraveling.
He forgot who he was. He forgot all the reps he's done. And he forgot why he was hired, because he was a goddamn professional.
Because he
forgot all that. And that's what triggered me. I was like, that's what I couldn't sit through was, oh my God, an Asian comedian at this like huge stage, 9.4 million people watching at the same time. His asshole is sweating like, it's the Nile up in there. And he just did the absolute worst thing anyone can do. Which is spin out. He spun out.
He really did. I mean, because the thing is, like, so this is the thing. In Kenosha, for example, if I could have, like, called out the bomb, but I knew the room didn't want to be with me. There was no way, like, where I was going to, like, humanize myself with them outside of, like, crowd work, which I was too green to do. Right. Mm-hmm, and I didn't want to. And then secondly, there was no way that like that wasn't going to help me. You need to depend on the material at that point. At the very least, do your time and get off the fucking stage.
Get off.
If he hadn't unraveled and had simply done the monologue, I think the cultural conversation would not be this.
we would have moved past it by now.
It'd be like, you know what?
And by the way, we will move past it. Everything gets moved past on.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it was a sign of someone who didn't have their sea legs. You know what I mean? Like, it was real, like, amateur hour stuff.
And he's
that's
not
what
an
really
amateur.
hurt me. I know.
And he's not.
I know. That's the thing. And, you know, this goes back to the fact that, like, he's not being received well anyway because no one knows who the fuck he is.
Exactly.
Like, Taylor Swift is, like, grimacing at him going, what? You know what I mean? And that, like, made headlines, which, honestly, I thought that joke was fine. Like, it wasn't that bad.
No, at all.
Whatever. At all. But, like, the media ran with it, obviously, because they're fucking thirsty. But the worst part was, at the end, after that Taylor Swift joke didn't land, he went into uber panic mode. And he was supposed to land the motherfucking plane and introduce Angela Bassett. But instead of just going into it, he goes, speaking of blondes, Meryl Streep is here. They cut to Meryl Streep, not blonde. She has gray hair, all white. She used to be a blonde, I guess. But, like, okay, so already you're like, what's happening now? And then he points at her and says, Meryl Streep, great actress, known for her number one quotable whatever is Wakanda Forever.
Right.
No one gets it. I'm not understanding it. What? Why is that a thing? Because now he's going off script.
Yes.
Because he knows Angela Bassett has to come up. So now he's like, right? And Meryl Streep's like, huh? He's like, come on, do the Wakanda Forever. Do it. And she's staring at him like, okay. And she's like, come on, you know it. Do the Wakanda Forever. And Meryl Streep, being a gracious woman she is, she does it for him. Everybody laughs. He finally gets like oh God, everybody laughed. Great. And then he goes, coming to the stage, Angela Bassett, and whatever his veneers allowed him to say.
Yeah. To squeeze out of his mouth.
When he made her do that, I didn't think my embarrassment could get even lower.
You know what happened is that after the Taylor Swift thing didn't work, I 100% bet that he had pitched the Wakanda joke.
Oh.
No one wanted to do it. Everyone's like, And I bet that's why he was like,
brought it back.
Their shit isn't working. My stuff is good. And so did that bit because Peter, doesn't that make sense?
You think he was fully convinced that it was his writer's fault? That he bombed? I thought that was just like a defensive thing.
I think in that moment, when you're going off script like that, and he's like, you know what I mean? Like in panic mode, I bet you that was a joke that was like
that they were
shot
like,
down
it's not going to work. Yeah.
Yes. And then in that moment, he was like, if they don't like this, then I'm going to try this. Doesn't that make sense though?
Yeah, I could see that happening in a like moment of sheer panic.
Yeah. Like being
anyway,
like,
it was, I mean, I texted you immediately and I'm like, what the fuck? And you were like, I can't sit, I need to be on drugs to watch this. This is too much for me.
And it was so cringy. Because the way that this man
there
was
needs to be a new
unraveling-
word for this because cringe is not enough. It was like ick cringe, so long. It was like, right? Like,
No, I mean, because it was like, because the thing is also watching a consummate professional, someone that is at the top of their like professional career. Like when I say that this bitch, like he is able to have arenas in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
But this goes to also say that I think we're in an era of comedy that when you're doing arena comedy, everyone has to agree. You're not connecting. Everyone has to agree. This is like more of a club, like environment that's intimate.
And
so
I bet
like
he doesn't do clubs anymore.
And the laughs are going to even sound different in that. And so like he's not accustomed to hearing this type of laugh. Because all of us, we're like, this is like a regular award show level of laughter. Like no one is killing like that unless you're doing a song or like whatever.
And by the way, for how much he was bombing, I didn't think the audience was that quiet.
Absolutely.
I thought they were like giving him more than he deserved.
But he's used to, do you know what I mean?
The uproar, 70,000 laughs. Yeah.
And like them constantly. So like, I wonder if that was a part of it. And so when people are doing that level of arena comedy, you're not
I hadn't thought about
living. You're not living in a reality where like people are, because everything you say is popping. Because even if out of the 70,000, 40 are laughing.
Now, do you think in the 10 days he got the job, he was workshopping these at a club?
No.
He was just in that conference room? Because you know how like Chris Rock goes out and does, like, he workshops the...
I don't think Joe is that kind of...
Comic.
Right.
That's my point, is that he was the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah.
And I will say, as much as I myself, I don't know if I could have said no. He should have said no. He should have said no, knowing that he doesn't have the writing staff nor the writing brain in himself to do this type of job in the first place. To be asked 10 days before already is like suspect. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Something's not right. And secondly, to be put under that much pressure, I wouldn't. That's setting myself up for failure. And there's no money involved. So it's like, why are you doing this? Why?
But the
because
rest
he
of
wants to be accepted to the cool club. That's why.
Okay. Also, by the way, the rest of the show was pretty well written. Right?
Yes.
Like,
by the way, different writing staff.
Right. Was that true?
Yeah. Different writing. And they had written all those months ahead.
Right.
So it was yeah, exactly. They were all clippy and jokey. His monologue
and the
was
presenters
just
were
left.
like game and like much more game than usual. They had like good, interesting pairings. Like the people that were using, I mean, all of it was like pretty good. And I think that's another part, Peter, where it's like, because the rest of the show was actually pretty good.
Fun. Yeah.
His bomb
looks way worse. Especially when he kept coming back out to like intro new people. Everyone was
and
like,
he just was getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Like he could feel them hating him more acutely with each time he went out. And the thing is, the pro in him should have come out and been like, shake it off. Because you guys don't like me, that sort of thing would have been better in that sort of interstitial moment. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Like, man, you guys really
short
don't
and
like
sweet.
me.
One thing out and then intro the next person.
Man, you guys really don't like me. Yes. You guys really don't like me, so I'm going to just do this and leave.
Yeah.
Laugh.
Make a bit of it, like T-minus 19 hours until I could leave this thing or whatever the fuck. You know, like, I think he was nervous.
Of course.
And he just couldn't be at the top of his game.
But
he just couldn't.
The way that it got the better of him in how defensive and open micer, because the way that he reacted when he was yelling at them, the thing is, none of them know what the fuck is happening. They're not doing open mics. They don't fucking understand why he's attacking. I just don't think it's funny. What's going on?
They want to get through the night and go to In-N-Out. Like Paul Giamatti. Like, I don't want to be here. Yeah.
Everyone's like, I mean, like, what the fuck is going on? The way that he unraveled is 100% the way that an open micer unravels at a half-empty bar. Like, it is, you this is not the time or place. If he had simply stayed professional, if he had simply said nothing.
Yeah. If he just grinned and did a ba-dum-bum, ta, and then left, we would not even be having this episode right now.
No, we'd be like, oh, it's kind of lackluster. Done.
But okay, whatever. Go off. First Asian to do it. Like, great.
The meltdown of it. I mean, inside of comic circles, the fact that he threw the writers under the bus is really getting some.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be forever tainted for him. No one's ever going to want to write for him again. And by the looks of room, Joe, let me know. But by the looks of that room, I don't think he has a lot of contemporary writer friends. Because, like, who were those people? probably people from his Joe Coy sitcom staff or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, right.
Like old TV writers who were put in whatever. You know, like I don't think he has a lot of like comic friends that are like, here's a punch up for that or whatever. You know, like if he did, they would have never let him go out with those jokes because they were so. Listen, if they were well crafted but so harsh that it didn't work, I'd be happy. I'd be fine with it.
Yes.
They were just not good jokes.
Yeah.
They were bad. So like that alone is like a sign of like, man, you need to keep people that are better than you around you. You know what I mean? Like you can't just have around people who are like, yes, I'll do it, and feed your ego or what. You know, this is allegedly. I don't know if that's happening. But just to wrap this up, I will say I did call Bobby Lee that night.
Yeah.
He was sick, so he wasn't watching. But I was like, you need to, because he's friends with Joe. Yeah. So I was like, you need to call Joe, check in on him.
Yeah.
Like, truly, like.
Wellness check.
There's suicide watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, like, and then I was telling him, like, he was like, it can't be that bad. It can't be. I'm like, Bobby, you need to watch this thing and call him. If he's your real friend, you need to check on him. So the next day, he checks on him, and I call Bobby. I'm like, what did he say? What happened? And he goes, he seems fine. And I'm like, what do you, like, he's just like acting fine.
Yeah.
He's like, no. He seems fine. Like, he's not bothered by it. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, it didn't go as well, but like, I think I did pretty good. And yeah, you know, the Taylor Swift joke was kind of whatever, but like, yeah. And I was like, what? And he's like, you have to understand, Peter, like, he's not like me and you. Like, me and Bobby, or even you, like, we would have disappeared. Like, I wouldn't show my face again. I'd have to go live in Baja. Yeah. Exactly. Take horseback ride. You know what I mean? Like,
I take that
tours
horse ride into the sky.
And I'll buck myself off the fucking horse to die. Like, I would never come back to comedy. Or to the States.
Peter. You would.
I just have so much shame that like I'd be crippled for at least a year. Joe's right back up, and he doesn't feel that shameful about it.
And that's why he's on top like this. And that's why he's on top like this. Yeah.
That's the Delulu you need.
Yes, it really is.
I just don't think I will ever be at his position because I don't know how to shut that off. The self-awareness. I don't know how to shut that off.
I mean, ultimately, I actually agree with him because it was like his. Okay, so with the writing stuff and all the stuff that you were talking about, like his staff, I don't think that the jokes needed to be better. I think the mistake was because he's not. I mean, as someone who's watched all of his Netflix specials, like
he can't deliver those jokes.
But the leaning in is like he is a friendly, charismatic guy. Like he could have done a thing like the way that they wrote for someone else, whoever dropped out. But these jokes were not for Joe because the way you're talking about sharper right, I don't know if that's would have helped him. I think he did not lean into his strengths, and his staff did not know enough either about him and what would work. Because his strength is not like doing like a perfectly crafted little. It's not a Jeselnik sort of situation.
He doesn't burn people. He's not a roast friendly. Comic.
It needs to be charismatic. He needed to like maybe like have everyone sing something together, even if no one had done it. He would have had a good time, right? Yeah. And like he does. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and he comes from like an like Chelsea Handler like background where he's like burning people sometimes in that way, but it's always with a smile, a cheekiness, and I don't think that whoever wrote this, and that's the reason why like when he was talking about the stuff he wrote, that's what because he was able to deliver it with more confidence. He was delivering it more authentically because it is who he is. What felt for me most crazy was his meltdown. Like for me, that is even in his like mind, he has to know that he was a little out of pocket, that it was like a little, because he goes after people in his audience like that. Like he'll go and hector people and kind of like, why, but it's not because they're not laughing. You know what I mean? It's like,
I just think he
work.
has. I think it's a lot of that where he could have done crowd work. There's famous people that do crowd work, but he didn't.
That's what
all the crowd work he did was sycophantic. Oh, I'm such a big fan. Robert De Niro. Right. I'm a real fan. No joke. What? I'm a real fan. And then you need to at least say something like, like, I'm not going to have your baby or whatever. Like something where it's like, you're telling me you are funny.
Yes.
That whole thing showed me you are not funny. And that's not true.
Yeah.
So whatever. It was a lot of confounding issues, compounded issues, of like him not being the right choice, him taking it only 10 days in, not having a staff that knew his voice or supported him in the way he should be supported, him not being a pro enough to grin and bear the bombs and move the fuck on, or even call them out in a professional way. Even if he said, like, if he wanted to be like, oh, these jokes you're laughing at, whatever, he should have just simply done, this is anyone who's a young comedian will know this, all you have to do when you're bombing is just double down on yourself. Just be like, hey, I wrote some of these jokes and my writers wrote some of these jokes and those are the ones you're laughing at.
Yeah.
Give the credit to your writers. Say that you're the bad joke writer. Just that's the professionalism that was missing. Is that after that many reps, how could you not know such a simple device? Here's how. You get too big too fast. You're doing arenas too fast.
I think the arenas of it all is really it.
If you're in the clubs,
it's not too
you know
fast
exactly.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. He's been doing, he's been doing comedy for so long. I don't think it's like whatever. I think it's just the arenas of it all. Like when you've been doing it only arenas for X amount of time, like when Schumer was only doing like arenas, I'm like, how do you workshop material?
No, but she is going to the Comedy Cellar and doing spots, 10-minute spots.
Yeah.
He's not doing that. He left the club and never came back. You know what I mean? That's a mark of someone who's not working on the craft of it.
Sure.
You're only doing the business of it. So you're selling out arenas. Great. That's awesome. But
do you think a working comic needs to be doing that in order to
if you want to host
Golden Globes?
100%. I think if you want to host the Golden Globes and a infamously tough room that you're supposed to be roasting people at, and you've been doing arenas for 15 years and not been in an intimate setting, go to a club. Set up a month, set up a week. You know what I mean? I know he had 10 days, but come on, man. This is basic stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I mean, or his team, someone on his team should have been like, yo, you should go work out. These aren't hitting. Did those guys in the room think that those jokes were hitting hard?
Absolutely.
The booby joke?
Absolutely.
The nose joke?
Because it's good enough for the Globes. Because it needs to be neutered for network television. It's working. It's like kind of playing on inside baseball. Like, I don't know. Because like, think about the people that have done well. It's not like Tina Fey was going into clubs. It's not like Billy Crystal is going into clubs. Like, I don't think you need that welterweight sort of like lean.
But Tina Fey, Billy Crystal, they're not doing arenas. You're just more used to intimate setting stuff as opposed to that big business of comedy. You're just too disconnected from your audience to host the Globes. I just don't think he should have taken the job, but because he did, he should have done more prep. That's it. I'm not saying he's a bad comic. He acted unprofessional, but I'm not saying he's not a pro. He had a moment where he slipped, and there's grace for all that, of course. Yeah. But it was very hard to watch. And it was very hard to experience as another Asian comic. It was really
brutal.
bad.
It was brutal.
It was brutal.
Because I mean, also I empathize as a comic to be like, oh, he's spinning out. Like I've done that. I've spiraled and like spun out on stage where like I'm just yelling at a bitch and like I don't have control. I've like blacked out, you know? Mm-hmm. And I've certainly had that, but but it was in front of 7 people at the Annoyance at 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah, earlier in your career, like you wouldn't do that even now. You know what I mean? Like that's just not something.
Maybe not. Maybe
you just learn not to do it because you look stupid. You know what I mean? You're never. After a couple of times you do that, you go, oh, that's just not something that works.
And it's so much more work for you. You know what I mean? Because you have to
exactly.
ultimately get the room back.
You have to earn them back.
Yeah. So, it's so much more work. But
And it's different if you're doing a 10-minute set because you're done in the lineup. Right. Hosting a show means you're back every so often, and you have to see these people again that you just yelled at. Oh my God. Anyway,
brutal.
He's gonna be fine. That's the thing, is that he's gonna be fine. His career is gonna be magnificent. He is fine. He doesn't care. The rest of us are the ones who are struggling.
I mean, what a gift. What a gift he has to be able to do this.
The Lululemon.
We gotta learn this. We gotta learn how to do this. 2024. Yes. We're gonna have regular teeth and figure out how to be delusional like this.
Year of Delulu.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening to this real breakdown of one of the, I would say, the worst bombing since Nagasaki, and it's true. It truly was a cultural moment, and to start off the year like this, it was exhilarating to say the least.
I mean, but also, by the way, with this cultural low, also a cultural high with Ali.
Oh, of course,
and
Ali
Steve.
and Steven.
I mean, Beef.
Thank God.
Winning, it was crazy.
And Sunny, yes, exactly.
All of it.
Beef sweep. We're here for
Beef sweep.
Yes, season 2. I'm so excited for it. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Check out the Patreon. We're on the YouTubes. Write a review for us. It really helps us. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.